Hello and welcome to WMUL FM's Classroom Concerts. I'm WMUL Station Manager Makaylah Wheeler, filling in this week for WMUL Music Director Abigail Cunningham. This is the third installment of our 2023 Classroom Concert Series, and it is airing as part of World College Radio Day. Today's guest is DJ Correct. Thank you so much for joining us. Can you tell us a little bit about what you're doing today?
Yeah, Makaylah, what we're going to do is we're going to talk about the history of hip-hop, and we're going to break it into three parts. But before we do that, I just want to let you guys know this is the 50th anniversary of hip-hop. And so we're celebrating 50 years of hip-hop by this show here, for example. And so the three parts that we're going to cover in the show is, one, we're going to do everything before 1979. So in the 70s, when hip-hop was just getting birth and, in the formative years, what they were playing. And then in 1979, the jump-off year is what we call it. And we're going to play probably 3 or 4 tracks from 1979. There was probably at least 20 singles that came out in 79. So 1979 is a very important year in hip-hop. And then we're going to do post 79 and get into 80, 81, 82, the Curtis Blows, the Treacherous 3, Grandmaster Flash, and the Furious 5, Run DMC. So 3 parts to this show. We're excited. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll take it from here. All right, here we go.
Yo, what's up, all you hip-hop fans out there? This is the king of hip-hop.
DJ Correct.
The man right now, he's gonna bring you live, the old school.
This jam is dedicated to the godfathers of hip-hop. Africa Bambaataa, Cool DJ Herc, and Grandmaster Flash.
Why don't you tell me a story? Please tell me a story too.
I think I'll tell you the story of my life.
You tell me. I want to hear too.
You love to hear the story again and again of how it all got started way back when.
Music flashback, taking you back to the old school with DJ Correct.
You love to hear the story again and again of how it all got started way back when.
All right, here we go. We're going to take you back to 1971. Mr. James Brown, the godfather of soul. Give it up and turn it loose. This was a b-boy anthem.
Testing. 1, 2, 3. It's working. It's working. Party people, if you're ready to rock, let me hear you scream. And if you really came to party, then let me hear everybody say, we came to party. We came to party. Everybody put your hands together like this. Come on, clap. Yeah. Let me hear you clap. Yeah. Nice. Everybody clap. Woo. Now here's a funky beat.
All right, here we go. We're taking you back to 1972. This is Jimmy Castor Bunch with It's Just Begun.
Watch me now. Feel the groove. And there's something gonna make you move. Here we come. On the run. Don't know
we go. So you can see these are the breaks. The break parts is when the B-boys got down. They would get down, they would break, they would go off. So hence the name Break Boys, the B-boys. All right, here we go. We're taking 1973. This is Apache, incredible bongo band, and this is labeled as hip-hop's national anthem. Here we go. I know you guys have heard that many, many times. It's been sampled in hip-hop. All right, so here you go. That was the national anthem for hip-hop. We always got down to that one. All right, here's another one of my favorites. So what I'm going to do is play, favorites of mine from the 70s, but these are also the breaks that the B-boys and B-girls would get down to. So here we go, 1975. It's called Take Me to the Mardi Gras, Bob James, but originally Paul Simon did this. To all my turntablist fans, this has been cut up many times. Jam Master Jay, Jazzy Jeff, Hubert. All right, here we go. Now we're going to take you 1977. This is by a German group. They were called Kraftwerk, and this laid the foundation of what we know as electro-funk hip-hop. So even some of the early electro, this was from Kraftwerk. They started in the early 70s, and so here we go. They laid the foundation for a whole type of music called electro.
Champs-Élysées, leave Paris in the morning with TEE. Trans Europe Express. Trans Europe Express. Trans Europe Express. Trans Europe Express.
All right, so there you go. That was part one of the 3 parts that we're going to cover today. So again, 1977, that laid the foundation for a whole new type of music called electro. and that was Kraftwerk. But again, you'll hear in a little bit that hip-hop DJs and producers sampled this, Trans Europe Express, many times, and other songs that Kraftwerk did also. So here we go, the jump-off year, 1979. This is one of 20 singles that came out. This is Grandmaster Flash and the Furious 5. It's called Super Rappin'.
The bass was shaking and it won't be long till everybody knowing that Flash was on the beatbox going. That Flash was on the beatbox going. That Flash was on the beatbox going. And Sha-na-na.
Italian, Caucasian, Japanese, Spanish, Indian, Negro, Vietnamese, MCs, disc jockeys to all the fly kids and the young ladies. Introducing the crew, you gotta see to believe. We're 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 MCs. I'm Belly Bell and I'm rocking so well.
And I'm Mr. Ness because I rocks the best.
I'm Raheem in all the ladies' dreams.
And I'm Cowboy to make you jump for joy.
I'm Creole, solid gold.
The Kid Creole,
Playing the role.
Dig this with the Furious 5 plus Grandmaster Flash. Giving you a blast and show enough class. So to prove to you all we're second to none,
We're gonna make 5 MCs sound like one.
You gotta dip, dive.
So socialize, bring out your ears.
And then open your eyes. And then pay at the door as a donation.
To hear the best sounds in creation.
He's a disco dream.
Of a mean machine. And when it cuts to the side, you see what we mean.
You see his name is not found in the Hall of Fame.
But it's shocking, amazing, make you feel shame.
It's a line from 11.
From 11 to a 9, he cuts the beat in half the time.
And then 2 is 3 times 2 is 6.
You say Flash is the king of the quick mix.
We're 5 MCs.
And we're on our own. And we're the most well known on the microphone.
Oh, we throw down hard and we aim to please.
With finesse to impress all the young ladies.
All right, so that was Super Rappin', Grandmaster Flash and the Furious 5. They made 5 MCs sound like one. So Kid Creole and Melly Mel were brothers, and they created that style even before Run DMC and the other rap groups in the 80s. So Kid Creole and Melly Mel, some of the beginning MCs out there, and Cowboy was with Grandmaster Flash, and what Flash would do, and you heard in the song, it was the quick mix theory. And so what he did was extend the break. So DJ Kool Herc would play the break, what we heard pre-79, a lot of James Brown, Jimmy Castor, and then he would needle drop and get into the next break because the B-boys and the B-girls only wanted to go out to the breaks, the B-boys, break dancing. And so Flash was like, you know what? It sounded good, but then it was jumbled and kind of disarray. So it was unison and disarray. So Flash came up with the quick mix theory, and that's what the Furious 5 was talking about. And so what Flash did, he would play the break and then count how many times he would take a crayon, and on the record, he would make a line. So if that mark passed 7 times, then, so blam, 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 and then over here, he's ready, play, and then he goes back 7 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then slams a crossfader over there. So that was the quick mix theory. That was Grandmaster Flash, the Furious 5, Super Rappin'. Now, another joint from 1979 that was a pivotal song in hip-hop history. Here's Spoonie G, and it was called Spoonin' Rappin'.
You say a 1 for the trouble, 2 for the time. Come on, y'all, let's rock the... yes, y'all. A freak, y'all. A funky beat, y'all. And then you rock and roll, and then you roll and rock, and then you rock to the beat. They just don't want you to stop, cause I'm the S to the B, double O and Y. The one MC who you can't deny. Cause I'm the baby maker, I'm the woman taker, I'm the cold crushing lover, the heartbreaker. So come on, fly girls, and please don't stop, cause I'm MC Spoonie G1 and hit the top of young ladies. I rock on. See, I was driving down the street on a stormy night to say up ahead there was a terrible fight. There was a big fine lady, she was crossing the street. She had a box with the disco beat, so I hit my brakes, but not all there. I missed a young lady by only a hit, and then I took me a look. I said, "Lottie-dottie." A big fine girl, she had a hell of a body. Then she looked at me, and then she started switching. So I took her my key out of the ignition, got out the car, and kept my mouth shut. Cause my 20/20 vision was right on the butt.
All right, so here we go. You heard Spoonin' Rappin'. That was Spoonie G, and he was one of the first lyricists. He was part of a group called the Treacherous 3, Kool Mo D, L.A. Sunshine, and Special K. And, of course, we all know Kool Mo D went on for an illustrious, single albums and just single career as a solo artist. But the Treacherous 3, no joke, they were a pivotal group also in hip-hop history. So all of you know this one. 1979. A lot of people said this was the first rap song, but actually it was like 2 or 3. King Tim III was actually the first one that came out. But here's Rapper's Delight. All of you guys know it. It's from the Sugar Hill Gang. And there's a little cool story on that. There was an MC from the Cold Crush Brothers, Grandmaster Caz, and the story behind this, Big Bank Hank stole or borrowed Grandmaster Caz's rhyme books to make this album for Sugar Hill Records.
I said the hip hop, you don't stop. Rock it out, baby, rubber to the boogity bang bang, the boogie to the boogity beat. Now what you hear is not a test. I'm rapping to the beat, and me, the groove, and my friends are gonna try to move your feet. You see, I am Wonder Mike, and I like to say hello to the black, to the white, the red, and the brown, and the purple and yellow. But first, I gotta bang bang the boogie to the boogie. Say up, jump the boogie to the bang bang boogie. Let's rock. You don't stop, rock the rhythm that'll make your body rock. Well, so far you've heard my voice, but I brought 2 friends along. And next on the mic is my man Hank. Come on, Hank, sing that song.
Check it out. When I'm imp, the dimp, the ladies pimp, the women fight for my delight. But I'm the grand master with the 3 MCs that shock the house for the young ladies. And when you come inside and to the front.
All right, so all of you guys know that one. That was Rapper's Delight, Sugar Hill Gang, 1979. So that was 79, just 3-4 songs from 79. Now we're going to get into after 79, and here is one of my favorite songs of all time. It's Planet Rock, and you'll notice earlier in the show, we played Trans-Europe Express from Kraftwerk. So just check it out, Africa Bambaataa and the Soul Sonic Force. Here we go. So this is that outer space electro-funk that Kraftwerk gave birth to. Shout out to my man Arthur Baker and John Roby for producing this. They were phenomenal producers in the 80s.
Just taste the funk and hit it. Just get on down and hit it. Bambaataa's getting so funky now, hit it. Yeah, just hit it.
It's time to chase your dreams about the seats. Make your body sway. Socialize. Get down. Let your soul lead the way. Shake it now. Go, ladies. It's a living dream. Love, life, live. Come play the game. Our world is free. Do what you want, but free. The Soul Sonic Force is the big power. And MC Glow, we emphasize this show. We got ego. Make this your night. Just live it right. In my day, as the people say, live it up. Shucks. So work or play, our world is free. Be what you be to me.
All right, so here we go. That was one of my favorite songs of all time, Planet Rock, Africa Bambaataa and the Soul Sonic Force. Here we go, another song in 82. So you see that style, that's that electro-funk hip-hop. So hip-hop and rap changed right here at this point in 1982. We had this stuff that we could break to, and then we got into the social conscious part of hip-hop and rap music with a song called The Message. This is from Melly Mel and Duke Booty. So this definitely changed the game of rap music also. Because before this, it was all about party rhyming, getting down, having fun. And then when Sugar Hill Records came to Melly Mel and Grandmaster Flash, they were like, I don't know, we're used to partying and the party rhymes and get people all hyped up. So this was down tempo. This is called The Message.
Broken glass everywhere. People on the stage, you know they just don't care. I can't take the smell, can't take the noise. Got no money to move out, I guess I got no choice. Rats in the front room, roaches in the back, junkies in the alley with the baseball bat. I tried to get away, but I couldn't get far, cause a man with a tow truck repossessed my car. Don't push me, cause I'm close to the edge. I'm trying not to lose.
lose my head. It's like a jungle sometimes. It makes me wonder how I keep from going under.
So I know you guys have heard that many a times. That's the message, and it changed the whole game of rap music. Here's another single from 1983, Tila Rock. This is called It's Yours, and this gave birth to the whole Def Jam record label. There were 7 singles that came out the Maroon label, and Rick Rubin, in his college dorm room, produced this. It's Yours by Tila Rock.
Commentating, illustrating, description giving, adjective expert, analyzing some of the musical myths, seeking people of the universe. This is yours. It's yours. Do you like it? Yeah. Do you want it? Yeah. Well, if you had it, would you flaunt it? Well, it's yours. Taking a record that's already made with the help of the mix board used in the crossfade. Rhythm can be kept to a self-choice pace, depending on moment or depth of bass. I don't really know, but somebody said some musical rhythm can mess with your head. I don't know if it's true. I leave it up to you. It's yours. Sound plus rhythm done up with finesse is equivalent to the adjective best. Now it's time to introduce neo rhymes combined with the groove with juice. Dance to the musical tune on the mic.
So we could hear 83 was a big year, and prior to 83 in this era, it was bands. So like the Sugar Hill Gang, their backing band for Sugar Hill Records, and MCs before this, the Furious Five, had bands that would play in the studio to make their music. Because how hip-hop originated was they were playing the breaks, and so the MCs would rap over the break, they would rhyme over it, but when you actually started producing the music, there's a thing called clearance. You got to get things cleared. And so at that time, sampling wasn't even thought of, and so we had to get bands. The Sugar Hill Gang, Grandmaster Flash, all those guys, they had to get bands to play their music. So you just heard from Tila Rock, that stripped down. They wanted to get to the streets. And Run DMC, of course, was produced by Rick Rubin. So Sucker MCs and It's Like That and It's Yours all had that stripped down. No bands, just a drum machine, and then they got down to it. So that led us into, now we're going into 1985. This is the Boogie Boys, and the song was called Fly Girl. So this is for all the fly girls out there.
Girl is a girl who wants you to see her name, her game, and her ability. 2 gold teeth and cold cash money. The guys are on a strap. She tends to act funny. She's got gazelle and a B-bag too. Fly girl, I wanna be with you. You're not the prettiest thing, girl, but that's okay. Your painted orange jeans make you fresh anyway. You wear much gold like it ain't no thing. You've got a name chain and a name earring. Your father is a...
So you could hear the Boogie Boys took the drum machine even to the next level. They had that big beat sound. And before we get out of the show, because there's so many more songs that we could play, but one of my favorite MCs ever, Curtis Blow, he is labeled the king of rap, and he is the blueprint for MCs out there. He was the first artist to sign to a major label. So I know that was 85, and we're going to come back a little bit to 1980. This was the big song right here, The Breaks, from Mr. Curtis Blow. And I tell you what, he is a statesman for hip-hop. He's a good guy, and he represents hip-hop, and he did always good content and represented himself well. So here we go, one of my favorite MCs ever, Mr. Curtis Blow, the king of rap. It's called The Breaks.
Clap your hands, everybody, if you got what it takes. Because I'm Curtis Blow, and I want you to know that these are the breaks. Brakes on a bus, brakes on a car, brakes to make you a superstar, brakes to win and brakes to lose. It's easier
All right, I gotta get another group in real quick. This is Houdini, and they were produced by Larry Smith. So Jalil, Ecstasy, and their DJ, Grandmaster D. This was called 5 Minutes of Funk. This was in everybody's jam box back in the day, boombox, and we would get down to this. 5 Minutes of Funk by Houdini. This is 1984.
Now the party didn't start till I walked in, and I probably won't leave until the thing ends. But in the meantime and in between time, if you work your thing, then I work mine. We came here together so we could have fun. Me and you, baby, going one-on-one. Now this is the last chance for us to get off. So either get loose or you ought to get lost. Cause I'm just about ready to do my thing. Cause I'm a stone cold New York rap machine. I'ma give you what I got, and baby, that's plenty. And never has one man rock so many. I'ma make you.
All right, so you can hear that sound. Houdini, again, one of my favorite groups, and they were on the Fresh Fest, kind of one of the biggest tours ever in hip-hop at the beginning with the Fat Boys and Run DMC, Houdini. Here's another favorite group that's kind of an unsung hero in the game of hip-hop. They're called UTFO, Untouchable Force Organization, and their DJ, Mixmaster Ice, changed up the game in the DJ world also. This is called Leader of the Pack.
Mixmaster. Well, all across the metropolitan USA, everybody with a mouth talking about a DJ Mixmaster. DJ Ice, to be precise, the boy is nice. Cause he can cut butter, cut records, cut a girl in two, and all your whack DJs pick up a mess out of you. He'll cut paper, cutting bread, cut down a tree, and make you wish you were dead when you might as well be. As a matter of fact, to be exact, this is not fiction, this is all fact. The man in the back is dressed in black. He's gone what we call.
All right, so you can hear that Mixmaster Ice, one of the best DJs ever. And we can't have a hip-hop show. I only got a few minutes left, so I got to drop these guys in. They were a very important group, and they took rap worldwide also. They were called the Disco 3 at first, but this is the Fat Boys, and this is their breakout song, Fat Boys.
Bad boys.
And they were okay with being called Fat Boys.
Now we may be a little chubby, but don't feel slow. We guarantee you one thing, we can surely come to the party and rock the house. As we harmonize and start to turn it out. So put the fresh move and take it from me. Listen to the fifth sounds of the Disco 3. Ha ha.
All right, so you could hear the human beatbox, and a lot of people talk about a fifth element of hip-hop, because we're going to talk about the elements of hip-hop in a little bit, but a lot of people, some say there's a fifth element of beatboxing. Dougie Fresh and the human beatbox, the jock box from the Skinny Boys, Ready Roxy from Fresh Prince and Jazzy Jeff. I mean, there's a lot of beatboxers back in the day. So that's my time. I'm going to close you out with this. It's 50 years of hip-hop. Thanks for listening.
Throw your hands up.
You know what it is? Throw your freaking hands up.
It's Hip Hop Hooray.
Hip hip hooray.
Celebrating 50 years of hip hop with DJ Correct.
Well, that was exciting. We've never
Thank you.
actually had a real DJ in for classroom concerts before. We have always had like folksy, alternative, guy with a guitar kind of sitting in. So this was a first for us.
Well, thank you. Yeah, it was fun. It was definitely a history lesson. I mean, it was more, instead of like DJ skills, I kind of gave you guys a history lesson and just some important songs in hip hop.
We actually appreciate it. It was sheer luck that we even ran into you because you happened to be working Funkdafest at the same time as us.
That was a great event.
And it was so much fun. I remember our news editor, Emma, actually interviewed you there at Funkdafest, and that is where this idea was born.
All right, well, I'm glad to be here.
So we're so excited to have this too because WMUL is actually known for hip hop because we're one of the only stations around here that broadcast hip hop, and that's actually why we have a pretty large high school demographic.
Okay.
So can you talk a little bit about why you chose to specialize in hip hop?
Yeah, so It kind of started way back in time. I'll be honest with you, Makaylah. So back in time, my dad and my older brother were avid record collectors and listened to music from Led Zeppelin to AC/DC, the Rolling Stones. And when I was younger, I'll be honest with you, I couldn't appreciate that style of music. And so in '82, we were in the area where I was from. If you said the beach, it was Myrtle Beach. Everybody would go to Myrtle Beach for vacation. So we would stop halfway in a place called Statesville, North Carolina. And my dad had this awesome chrome jam box. And it was like, oh my gosh, that's awesome. And so he had it on vacation. And when we were stopping halfway in Statesville, poolside in that evening, it was a Friday evening. And so we were flipping through the channels and then, oh my gosh, that's it. And I played the song earlier in the show. It was Planet Rock by Africa Bambaataa. And I was like, what is that? And my dad was like, that is pretty cool. And we were just, I was mesmerized as a little kid. So, this was '82. I think I was probably like 10 years old. And I was like, this is what I've been waiting my whole life for. I only had 10 years of life at that point. But Planet Rock changed my life, and I fell in love with hip hop. And from then, I was just hooked. I had to get everything hip hop, rap associated with. I was breakdancing and just fell in love with the whole culture of hip hop.
Man, so just that one song started everything for you. When did you start professionally DJing?
Sometimes people professionally means getting paid. So probably I would say 87, 88 was actually started doing dances and parties and those kind of things to actually get paid. So maybe that made me professional. I still had to polish some skills still. I was just new in high school. And the reason that I started DJing, because obviously it was in the part of the hip hop culture, but we would go to dances and the music players, the people playing the music, weren't playing music that we could dance to. We're like, I thought this was supposed to be a dance. And everyone was like, yeah. And so my buddies and I were like, let's do it the right way, the correct way, and birth a guy named DJ Correct. So we started doing dances and parties and things. And we were like, we're going to do it the right way. So we actually played music that people could dance to. Makaylah, isn't that a great concept?
That is actually.
It's a dance, and you're supposed to dance.
That's impressive. You have stuck with the same name this entire
DJ Correct
time.
since, mid-'80s.
And it has such deep meaning, too.
Yes.
And you were actually telling me your shirt has a little bit of deep meaning as well. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, so really the reason that we're here is kind of this shirt is, the address on it. 1520 Sedgwick Avenue in the Bronx. And so August 11th, 1973 was the first official, because it was documented by a flyer. So everyone in the hip hop culture, almost everyone, there's still other people out there in different boroughs like, hey, hip hop was happening, around that time too in the different parts of New York City, the boroughs. But in '73, August 11th, Kool Herc and his sister put on a back-to-school jam. And so it was at this address, and that was the birth of hip-hop to the world because of DJ Kool Herc and his sister throwing a back-to-school party. And like I said, other boroughs and other DJs and people were doing similar styles, but it wasn't documented yet. And so it's kind of like those old stories, and people change stories and this. And the fish, it was that big when I caught it, but really it was like this. And so stories kind of change over the years, but it's documented. This was the first hip hop party.
So would you say that hip hop has always been a genre that's more for the younger crowd?
Yeah, that's a good point, because what happened in the early '70s, DJs were out there playing the funk, and the James Brown, and I played Jimmy Castor Bunch earlier, It's Just Begun. So a lot of that funky stuff in the early '70s, and the DJs were playing that, and they noticed that when the break of the song would come, where the vocals drop out and the drums go crazy, they noticed that these younger kids, teenagers, young adults, would go off. They would break. They would lose their mind, and they're like, oh, we've got to extend the break. So then that's when DJ started getting 2 copies. So as in the show, I was talking about the quick mix theory that Grandmaster Flash started. So Kool Herc, his theory was called the merry-go-round. And so what that means is the break would go around on the turntable, and then he would have it ready, because back then, headphones and cueing wasn't really a big thing. And so it was kind of a guess, but they learned and practiced by the grooves in the record, so they would needle drop. It was called needle drop. So like ba da 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 ba ba the break, and then like, oh, it's getting ready to end, and I think it's right there, and they would needle drop and then try to get it on beat. And a lot of times it was a little bit jumbled. Grandmaster Flash talks about that a lot. And so he was like, you know what? I like what I'm seeing and I'm like what I'm hearing, but I want to take this to the next level and I want to make it cleaner. And so Flash, he was a scientist. He was an actual electronics student at a local vocational school in high school. So he knew a lot about electronics. And so he was kind of building his own system and trying, experimenting, and just being a scientist to the music. So as in the show, I would talk about Flash took a crayon and he would put it where the break, so the needle's right here, and where the break started, he would make a crayon mark. And so, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Oh, and that's where the break would stop. So over here, he was queued up and ready to go. And like, bam, and it would play, and all the B-boys and B-girls were going crazy. And like, oh, it's passing the needle 6 times or whatever it may be. And he was like, so while that was playing, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and get it ready, and like, and then get into the next break. So he made the quick mix theory to keep it, the loop just kind of going in a seamless manner. And so it wasn't the jumble like, that some of the earlier DJs, had that style because they were just needle dropping and trying to guess. And so some of the beginning architects of the game, DJ Pete Jones, Grandmaster Flowers. There was a Grandmaster before Grandmaster Flash. His name was Flowers. And I like this guy because he had a cool last name, because my name is Kurt Plummer. But DJ Plummer was like a beginning architect in the boroughs of New York City. And they were just starting this thing called hip hop. And it wasn't even called hip hop yet. It was just that style of the way a DJ plays music. Because DJs, there's been kind of DJs around for a while, radio personalities and just different people playing music. But the way hip hop brought the 2 turntables and the break style, that birthed a whole culture called hip hop.
So that
was a long explanation.
Yes, it was, but that was very helpful, because traditional disc jockey skills, that's an art form. You have to practice at it. It's not as simple as just something on a laptop. You're able to do a quick mix and go.
Right.
This is something you actually have to put a lot of time and effort into to make it sound good.
And that's what they did back then, because now with all the technology, they didn't have that back in the day. They just had 2 turntables and vinyl and what we called digging in the crates. So DJs would go to record stores all over the place and dig through the crates and try to find cool breaks, because these breaks were things that were from the past. So Grandmaster Caz from the Cold Crush Brother said hip hop did not invent anything, it reinvented everything. So that's kind of like what Grandmaster Caz talks about hip hop, because he was a DJ and MC. And so Flash and these beginning DJs were doing their thing. And so scratching, which is part of the hip hop DJ, the mixing, cutting, and scratching, that came about because the rubbing of the record, because cueing came into play, the headphones. And so a lot of DJs would, we call it backspinning, cueing it up and rubbing the record. And so there's a lot of premature just prep scratches back in the day. So like, ba da da, the break's getting ready to end, and like da da da, and get into the extended the break by just a little bit of prep scratching. And so Flash, and then there was a guy named Mean Gene, and he had a little brother, and he went by later by Grand Wizard Theodore. So his name was Theodore. And so what Theodore, he was a master at needle dropping as a young kid. And so he took it to the next level, and he tells a story that he was practicing in his bedroom because when his older brother would leave, he's like, don't touch the tables, don't touch the records. And then when his older brother would leave, Theodore would get on there and start practicing. And so Theodore was rubbing the record to kind of cue it up, and his mom was like, bam, 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 you got to turn that music down. And so he put his hand on the record to stop it, and then in the headphones he heard jigga, that jigga, jigga, that zigga, zigga sound. And he's like, oh my gosh, this is something. And so Flash and Theodore were kind of like the inventors of the scratch. So that's a little backstory too on like the cutting and scratching that a lot of DJs do. I mean, even EDM DJs now, and DJs for famous rock groups and famous singers, they have the DJ back there. And a lot of time, I mean, they're doing some nice cutting and scratching. And so that all birthed from the mid 70s of just rubbing the record.
No, that's impressive to.
We could go on all day about this,
We
Makaylah.
really could. And it's good segue for us because actually the College Radio Day Society, once a year they do vinyl-thon. So we actually bring back that traditional disc jockey kind of vibe and get back into it so that students are able to learn a little bit more of that art form. So you actually have a little bit of a connection to college radio, do you not?
Yes, I do. So little story. One of my majors in college was radio and TV production, and the other was education. And sometimes people are like, where do those tie in together? But I ended up double majoring because of being a youngster in the hip hop game. And I loved music, and I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna be into radio and TV and be on the radio, and I can play my music. And so the college that I went to, they had college radio station. And of course, when you're a radio major, we had a classical station, jazz and classical, and you had to read the news, okay? So all radio students had to do that. And that was cool. I had a Shades of Jazz radio show. And from there, I started to appreciate jazz because I never really was into it. But John Coltrane, all those guys, I started to appreciate jazz. And then I would read the news. And in order to get on the college-run radio station, which was 98.5, you had to do your Shades of Jazz or classical show. So you had to pay your dues, but then it came to the college radio where the students ran it, and we had a college student upperclassman that was the station manager. And it was my freshman year when I decided to change my major, and I'm like, I want a radio show. And so I went to hey, my name is Kurt Plummer, I go by DJ Correct, and I want a radio show. And so I talked to him, and I said, it's gonna be an R&B, rap, and hip hop show. And they're like, well, traditionally college radio has been more, like that alternative sound. And we've never really had a true hip hop, R&B, and rap show. And I'm like, I'll be the first. And so it was Thursday nights, and I called it the house party. And so I played rap and hip hop and R&B and some funky stuff and dance. And so that was Thursday nights from 9 to midnight, DJ Correct house party. So yeah, I loved college radio and all the things that it did for me. And it was a cool way to express yourself too, because at that time, I had to learn on reel-to-reel tape. And so I would make some cool commercials and drops for my radio show. And so I had to do it on a reel-to-reel. And so people used to take razor blades and splice the reel-to-reel. But what I would do, and a lot of us started using ink pens. And so, if I was doing a drop for my radio show, I don't know, I brought in some little kids and they would say, you're listening to DJ Correct. And so I would stop it and make a mark there because I wanted to drop in a beat or the station ID like WCMO 98.5, blah, blah, blah. And so I used an ink pen and I made my mixes that way with an ink pen, stopping it. And then sometimes you had to bring it back just a touch. So if DJ Correct, if it went past too far, you would bring it back just a touch and then you would lay. So it was layering. And so that helped me too, with my DJ skills, because it's all about layering. So you're dropping in songs and you're beat mixing. And let's say this song was 118 beats per minute and you want to layer it and you're matching the 118 with the next song. And I would layer DJ drops and all kinds of stuff. And so, yeah, college radio. I love college radio, so that's pretty cool that it's coming up October 6th.
October 6th, it is World College Radio Day, actually. Our station will be celebrating along with hundreds of other stations across the world. It's
And I love the name of
insane.
your radio station, too. WMUL 88.1.
The cutting edge.
Nice.
So that's what we're known for, but it's, our students actually still have to learn reel-to-reel.
Oh, I
We
like
do.
that. I like that.
All of
That's
the
cool.
audio production students have to learn it, so we are still trying to keep that history alive.
Good.
Because it's very important to take that into the real world. You should be knowledgeable in what you're doing.
Yeah.
It's not just the cutting edge of what's coming up.
Right.
It's what have we done in the past.
Yeah.
And those things are important, and that's the lessons that you get with college radio that I think a lot of people are missing. They
yes.
think you can just learn the latest software and you're good to go.
Right. You got to know some
And
history.
you
and I'll tell you what,
do.
Makaylah, that kind of led me into a good point about the whole hip hop culture. Is that a lot of the b-boys and MCs from the back in the day, like, we've got to know our past in order to know where we're going. So knowing the history of hip hop, because it is the four elements. DJing, which is the main pillar, because the DJs kind of started playing the breaks, and then that birthed an MC, or actually the b-boys, because they would go to the breaks, and these young people were getting down, and they were called break boys, break girls, b-boys, b-girls, and then, you know, society called it break dancing. And but the real name is b-boys and b-girls. And then, you know, you have the MC. And so that's how rappers, MCs came about, is because a lot of DJs were in the mix and they were doing their thing and they had a microphone there. And then sometimes they would get on the mic and, you know, like, hey, people, put your hands in the air. Or they'd say like little just things, or, hey, you know, Makaylah, you're double parked, you got to move your car. And so Makaylah would go out and move her. So that was kind of the beginning of MCing. And then Grandmaster Flash, you know, he had such technical skills, he wasn't really good on the mic either, and he said that, like, I didn't really want to talk on the mic. So Cowboy, one of the first MCs, would grab the mic, and he was good at freestyling and just like getting the crowd into it. And then that birthed just Kid Creole and Melly Mel, and they were Grandmaster Flash and the three MCs. And then it became the Furious Five, and then you had the Disco Four, you had the Treacherous Three, the Cold Crush Brothers. So all these MC groups came about, and even solo artists. So DJing, B-boy, B-girls, MCing, and then graffiti, graph art got into the four elements of hip hop, because the story on that is the flyers that the parties we started throwing, the parties were being thrown, and they needed artwork because there was no computers back in the day to make fancy like flyers and stuff. So they would get graffiti artists and they would make the flyers. And so graffiti artists started getting down and going to hip hop shows. And so that's how graffiti kind of morphed into the whole hip hop culture. And those are the four true elements of hip hop. I had to get that in there.
It just has to drop it just a little bit.
Yeah.
We're going to rework it just a tad here.
Okay.
Is there any advice that you have for upcoming media professionals or just students looking to get involved with student media?
Yeah, so the advice that I would give is get really involved in the college radio station, the TV station here at the university. Put in the time to learn the equipment, because there's a lot of cool things that, you know, we can do now, especially with technology. But sometimes, and it's tough when you're in college, you got a lot going on, and it's easy to take the easy route. Like, you know what, this is my assignment, I can get away with this. But I think the real professionals and the people that really excel at an art form of, you know, radio and TV is the ones that stick around and perfect their skills and learn even more what they can do to make their radio show even better. You know, dropping in sound effects, or, you know, learning the board and having a couple mics and you bring in a guest to your radio show. And I would say being creative is the best thing that we can do. And that, again, the reason that we're here, creativity brought about hip hop. Because, you know, at the time, you know, they weren't from affluent areas and, you know, maybe some poverty areas. And these young people had to be creative to express themselves. And so hip hop gave them an outlet to express their creativity and their abilities through dancing, the graffiti art, DJing, and MCing. So creativity, I would say. Be creative in your projects. Take a little bit of extra time if you can, and just explore new avenues and try new things.
Speaking of projects,
Yeah.
are there any projects that we can look for coming out of your area?
Okay, so one project, but I've kind of been, and it's been in my brain, but years ago I did 2 audio documentaries on the history of hip hop. So it's, I called it The True Story, and there's chapter 1 and chapter 2. And so I'm working on ideas, and I have my notepad and I'm writing down things. So chapter 3 is going to be strictly about the DJ and how the DJ brought this culture of hip hop to the world. And then just recently we did a celebration for the 50th anniversary of hip hop. So we're right now in the 50th anniversary of hip hop. And so we had a show, and on the way here, honestly, like just going through my mind, I was like, you know what? We need a part 2 to the history of hip hop. Because that's the thing too, is a lot of people are in hip hop or want to be associated with hip hop, but they just don't know the history, the true, I mean, there's a lot of history and rich history that goes into the whole game of hip hop, of just the creativity and DJing, how that developed. And just, I mean, look at the world today. Like, DJs are getting paid millions of dollars to rock, you know, thousands and thousands of people. In Ultra in Miami, that electronic music fest, people from around the world are coming to Miami for a 3-day music fest that's electro, and we can track that all the way back to Kraftwerk and some of those early electro groups that gave birth to even some electro funk hip hop. So.
Well, again, Kurt,
Yes.
we want to thank you so much for joining us today. This
You're
has been
welcome.
an absolutely amazing experience for us to branch out and be able to have a DJ in studio
There we go.
and get just a little bit of the history of hip hop.
Yeah.
So thank you so much for
Maybe
joining
we'll
us
do
today.
part 2 down the road.
Maybe.
I've
You might have to stay tuned for
I've got
it.
lots of stuff to say about the history.
We might have to stay tuned for it. We
All
might have
right.
a special on campus. You never know.
That might be kind of cool.
Thank you so much for joining us. This has been the 3rd installment of our 2023 Classroom Concert Series, airing as part of World College Radio Day. Today's guest was DJ Correct. You can check out all of our other College Radio Day content on WMUL 88.1 FM or on our social media pages at WMUL_radio. All episodes are available for playback on our YouTube at WMUL Radio. All content is courtesy of WMUL FM, The Cutting Edge. All music is courtesy of DJ Correct, and our exclusive set and interview. Thank you to our WMUL FM and JMC TV staff for making productions such as this possible. Filling in for WMUL FM Music Director Abigail Cunningham, I'm WMUL FM Station Manager Makaylah Wheeler.